Have you ever wanted to write and publish your own book to hold it in your own hand? I'm Mila Johansson from Pen to Published, and I coach writing and publishing. In fact, I helped Steve, Irma, and Olivia put together their book, Heart Notes, as an example of what I do. And I'm so excited to be an official sponsor for the Sing Your Heart Song Summit in July. Right now, you're going to experience a speaker spotlight series. There are so many valuable speakers for you to get to know before they do their presentation. Don't just watch, join the conversation in chat.
The Sing Your Heart Song Speaker Spotlight featuring Jackie Cote. Jackie Cote is a freedom mentor, coach, and speaker who helps hyper-driven successful women who already have money and success but don't have a life that they love. When you work with Jackie, you learn how to awaken, empower, and own the powerful woman that's within you so you can create the life that you truly desire on your own terms. Jackie is living out her dream of freedom and adventure by traveling the country in an RV with her man and 2 pups. For more information, please visit www.jackiecotecoaching.com. Mark your calendars. Jackie will be presenting on day 1 of our summit, Finding Your Heart Song and the Art of Asking the question, what would love do? Jackie shares this with you. Life is too long to live miserably and too short to not enjoy, so collect the moments and have fun. Good morning, Steph.
Good morning, Olivia.
Oh my gosh, I love Jackie's quote. Have fun. So I've got my fun earrings today.
There you go.
Fun
And
tassel earrings.
I'm jealous, of course.
I got a fresh new haircut. So I'm just, yeah, I really love Jackie's message of freedom and fun.
Absolutely. And, not only does she express that through her words and through her speaking, but she also lives it, which we'll hear more about as we bring her in and find out where in the world she is right now, because it's not the same thing from day to day.
Yes. Oh, how fun is that? And we've been traveling with Restream. So I went live on an airport terminal. And it's fascinating to me that we can take these things on the road. And so this is a speaker spotlight first. We'll be able to live stream from Jackie's RV and find out where she is today. So that's really, really exciting. All right. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Coach Jackie. Let's see. Where in the world is Coach Jackie today? There she is.
She's here with us. That's where she is.
The only place to be. The only cool place to be.
Welcome, Coach Jackie.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. This is so much fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love this RV.
Yeah, you get the pretty view of the porch. This is it's a side porch on the RV, and I put it down and I do all my work from here. And so sometimes the porch is facing the Badlands of South Dakota. Sometimes it's facing a beach, a lake, you name it. It faces wherever we park it.
So you're in South Dakota right now?
Yeah, we're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. No offense to anyone who lives in Sioux Falls, but it's the boring side of South Dakota. The west side of South Dakota has all of the cool stuff. Like it's got Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse and Needles Highway and Custer Park and Badlands, Deadwood, Sturgis, like all these really cool places to visit. And then you get to the east side of South Dakota and you're like, there's nothing here. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. So we've just been chilling here for a bit just to kind of relax, and then we'll start traveling again July 1st. So.
What was it like to see Mount Rushmore? Did you get to visit?
Yeah, it was super cool. Like it was kind of surreal as you're because you hear about all these things, right? And then when you're in, and there's so much in the United States to see. Like I've always been like, I want to go international and I want to go here and there, but there's so much beauty just like right in our country. You know, like it blows my mind. And I think the Mount Rushmore was awesome. But the thing that blew my mind the most was the Badlands, because I woke up for a sunrise over the Badlands and I got the most pink and purple and orange, and the Badlands looks like the Grand Canyon, but just not as red and everything. And it's just so beautiful. And we get to camp. You get to camp on the ledge of it. Like we got to put our boondock our RV on the ledge of this beautiful thing. I was just blown away. So we get to do that, and I love it. It's the freedom that I've designed for me.
That's awesome. You know, I've been through the Badlands. We've been through South Dakota. I don't know how many times. One of the things that benefits of being married to someone who is from the other side of the country is that we've driven back and forth across the country multiple times. I literally have no idea how many times I've done it, but you're exactly right that there's so much of this country to be seen. You were mentioning, you know, we've been to Mount Rushmore, we've been to, you know, the Badlands. The Badlands are crazy. It's like such a surreal place. I don't know if there's any other place that's quite like it.
Yeah. I was speechless, and you know me, I like to talk. And I sat there in my live and it was silent. I did a live of it and I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just, it blew my mind because I wasn't aware of it. And then when we just kind of landed on it, I was like, how did I not know about this? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a trip to drive through. It's also a trip to fly over it because it looks so bizarre. So
I could imagine that would be cool.
So yeah, and we live in such an incredible world, you know, no matter where we might be. And Olivia enjoys being in Florida and all that provides, but she was also just up in Massachusetts, and you know, a whole other part of the world and a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
We just live in such an incredible world, and it goes right along with your quote that you shared about, you know, life is too long to be miserable and too short to not have fun, or maybe I butchered that quote, but
That's
something
something like that.
Something like
as long as it ends with fun, we're good to go.
Speaking of fun, I love that smiley cup. So you're a person after my own heart because, you know, teaching laughter yoga, I've got smileys all around everywhere. So
I love it. This is like a cup that I got from, I don't know if you've heard of Potbelly Sandwich Company, but it's a company I worked for 5 years when I did my restaurant career of 30 years.
We
and
had
they
one
would
in Boston.
Yeah, they'd hide this in the store whenever they open a new store, because I did a lot of new store openings for them. They'd hide it in the store and they'd have the customers try to find it. And I thought it was such a cool concept. And when I left the company, they gave me the cup and they're like, you know, you've earned this after opening a bunch of stores for them and being managing for them. But I was like, it's just treasured. I even have it like this broke, so I have it all glued. It will not leave my life. Like, I don't care how many times it breaks or whatever. I am like, it's staying in my life.
That's awesome.
And it's the cup that you have in your picture. So you like literally came off your picture. Now
I totally didn't realize that that's the picture I gave you when I put on the same shirt and the same cup. I have a different necklace on, but I had no idea.
But that's being authentic, right? I mean,
yes.
that's it. I truly believe that, you know, whatever pictures or information you have on your website, when people meet you in person, they have to feel like you literally stepped off the website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm always surprised at people that use, and I did it for a while. Olivia actually knows this because we had a big hullabaloo when we did our Heart Notes anthology, and I was using a photo that was taken 10 years ago, back when I was in corporate and not in a very happy place. And I'm like, no, don't use that photo. And
Yep.
but
Yeah.
so many people use, you know, photos that were 10, 20 years ago, and they're not, it's not where they are now.
Mm-hmm. I
And
always fought the corporate America photos. Like, I'm like, nah, they would take them, and I'd be like, nah, we're not going to use it, because I hated the,
yeah,
like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like stiff. Like, I'm like, I it's just not me.
Like-
That's why you get pictures of me like, you know, that's me. I just could never ever use one. I tried. I really tried, Steph. I tried. I just couldn't use it.
Well, another variation of the quote that you chose, I really began to adopt this one. And it's, life is so long that you can have more than one version of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so you've gone through that cycle of, you know, being in corporate, being in the restaurant business, and now you're in coaching and on the run. So, RV.
You can't find me. You can never find me.
So talk a little bit about what that's been like, you know, like was your husband on board right away? Like, how's he handling this adventure with this, you know, Wonder Woman?
I gotta say, like, so many people, when they find out what I'm doing, they're like, oh, I so want to do that, and that would be my dream. And I'm like, but does your partner want to do that? Because if you're gonna do this, your partner, family has to be on board, because it is a 44-foot box. Ours is pretty big in comparison, but you're close quarters all the time, and we both work. So he works out of the RV, and I work in the RV, so we do get time apart. So it's not like we're on top of each other all the time, but we both agreed when we first met. We were both in Virginia, and that's where we met, and we were there for about 6 years before we went, 5.5 years before we went full-time RV living. But when we met, he was like, listen, I got 4 kids, and when they get old enough, I'm out of Virginia. And if you want to come, great. If you don't, you don't. And I was like, yes, I found the person, you know, because I wanted to be out too, but we didn't know where, and we didn't know how that looked. So you know how, like, you have all these goals and dreams, but you just don't know the how, and the how will show up. And then you just don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And this was not anything we talked about until about midway through COVID, through the pandemic. And because we wanted to travel, and then we started to think, well, how could we travel and be in all different places, but not commit to a place, because we don't know where we want to, like, plant our flag yet but we know what the property looks like that we want. And then we started watching RV America, and that just got us hooked. If you don't watch that show, or you'll buy an RV. Like, it's like RV show after RV after RV, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, because they're at the places that we're at now, right? So I was watching them go to, like, across the country in different places. I was like, I want to do this, and both of us agreed. It was a real easy decision, and we travel well together, so we love it. I mean, we do miss some family stuff on the East Coast, because it's all on the East Coast, but we've stayed committed to our dream, and we stay in touch, and we call and we talk to them, but we're gonna go visit periodically, but at the same time, we want to live out our dream, you know.
Yes, you know, and you make a really good point that, you know, you both have to be in this together, because I mean, you're in an RV all the time, and sometimes when you're in, and I've never been in an RV like that, but I do remember the first time we left college in Utah and we're coming out to North Carolina, and we had roughly a 1-year-old baby in the back seat who was not a happy camper. Not a happy camper traveling cross country, and he just wailed for like hours and hours, and I'm just like, I am so done with this. So we finally, like, we've gotten to Chicago, about 12-15 hours away from where we needed to end up, and I'm like, okay, I'm just done, and I'm not stopping until we finish this trip. But you know, when you're in it together, when you're creating an experience, and you're both enjoying it, you know, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, and it impacts every avenue of your life too. Like, our relationship has gotten better for it, which people think is crazy. They're like, you sold everything and you moved into this little space, and your relationship's better. And it's true, because, like, one, we've released all the stuff, like, and we don't have that now we get to experience just each other in whatever. I'm all about, if I'm going to put money into something, it's experiences. Experiences are more important than things, and they always have been for me. And so, and he very much agrees. And then it's helped my business. It's helped my relationships with friends friends I don't see. Like they know that we'll pick up where we left off when we pick up the phone and call each other, or I stop into their state. And that's what's the cool part, is I get to stop into all these different states, and I pull up my little address list and I announce on Facebook I'm going to be here, and be like, oh, I'm there. So I get to see people that I met virtually, and I get to hug them in person, and I get to show them some love in person.
That's excellent. Yeah. And I love the online virtual world where we get to interact with people from all over and, have awesome working relationships. Like Olivia and I have been working for over a year together and have never even been I don't think we've ever have even been in the same state at the same time.
So cool.
Indeed. That's a write it downer. So I just want to turn our attention to all of you who are watching. If you're enjoying this conversation, please drop a comment, say hello to us in the chat. We'd love to connect with you. What are your questions for Coach Jackie? Maybe we can answer them here on this live stream. And so I've been taking down some notes here. These are the writer downers, but experience are more important than things. So I love that. I love what you shared earlier too about, so many people saying, oh, I want to do that. I wish I could do that. Well, make the plans.
Oh my gosh.
I love what you said, like the how will show up. So does that sort of like tie into your intentional goal setting exercises that you do with your clients?
Yes, very much so. I mean, it's the biggest piece that I didn't realize that was so important on this journey of life. You hear about vision boards and you hear about like dreaming and all that stuff most of your life. And we're way more into it as kids, right? We had the best imagination in the world as kids. And then life happens and different things. And our brain starts to get into safe mode of like, no, that's not safe to do. We should be doing this and all that stuff, right? And then we were taught to do SMART goals, which is like specific, measurable, achievable, all that stuff. And I call that the masculine version of goals, which is awesome. But then there's this piece that I didn't learn until I got into my coaching realm and building my business, was there's the intention behind it so that you can actually enjoy it along the way. Because do you ever get to a goal and be like, that didn't make me happy, or maybe happy for 10 seconds. And then you're like, that didn't do the thing that I thought it would do. And the reason why is because we didn't feel and experience the journey along the way and appreciate it and celebrate every step of it and all that stuff. And because the big goal at the end is tangible, but we're trying to get to that tangible goal to fill the internal need of whatever's missing inside. And how you get that internal need is through the intentional being along the way to the goal. So how do you, like, what is it going to feel like? What is it going to, I know people laugh when I say this, what is it going to smell like? What is it going to sound like? You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to be seeing here? Getting all into the senses. And what do you want to be experiencing within all those senses along the way to the goal? And so, for example, if there's like a business goal of clients or money, yeah, you can make 10K a month and hit that goal, but did you have fun doing it? Were you inspired? Did you change people's lives along the way? Well, probably, but did you celebrate that you did all that? Like, was there this joy, or was it, I didn't hit it by this date, so I'm not good enough? Or, so the intentional goal setting is super important to me. Oh, and the fun part about it, Olivia, is that we actually get crayons and markers, and we get a piece of paper and we draw it out, and we all different colors and rainbow fun, because that is like that childlike person we were like when we were kids. Like, you bring them back to childhood, because then you stop blocking yourself from like all of the logical stuff that stops us. Like, you go to write a dream and a goal and you're like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And that could be too expensive and Take those and put them on another piece of paper and write the things you really want and what you want to experience. Because then the brain can function on the known of the goodies, of the things you desire. So
I love the sound effects, and I'm curious, when you're envisioning, right, this RV lifestyle, what did that smell like for you?
Outdoors. Like so I'll give you an example that got me. I want a lake house one day, right? I want a lake house property. I want a view of a mountain. I want to be on a lake, and I want lots of property. I want to be able to, like, as his kids have kids, like, have everybody over, like swinging and like all sorts of stuff. And so we lived near a lake. I would pack it into my bag and I would go down to the lake common area and I'd sit at the lake with my computer and I'd be like, oh, I love my lake property. And I love like the smell of the water. And like, I would smell the trees and the water and I would feel the sun on my face and I would see the mountains. And I didn't own that. Like that was Lake Anna, Virginia. I didn't own that. But I put myself in the environment that I want to experience. And so I know that's going to happen for me one day. That's one of the purposes, by the way, of leaving to travel the country in an RV was to find where we want to, like, we're going to know when we know, that feeling we're like, oh yeah, this is where I want to be. Because I don't know, is it going to be Utah, Colorado? Is it going to be the Northwest? Is it going to be the Northeast is where our heart is, but we haven't seen the rest. So what if it's one of the others? And so what is it going to smell like? It's going to smell like a beach. If it's a beach, which he doesn't want a beach, but we'll visit a beach, but we don't want to live on a beach. We want a lake. So, Oh, and I have a pine candle that I burn. Like the pine candle gives me that like pine scent, even if I'm in South Dakota in 90-degree weather.
Nice. That is cool. So awesome. So awesome. And another quote that you shared with me too is, getting outside of our head. So can you speak to a little bit about how the intention is not driving the action? You still have to.
Right. We can't just sit there. And just shows up. Is it going to show up? Okay. I mean, that is part of the equation, but I talk about getting out of your head and into action because the action is what creates motivation. Action begets action. We've heard all the sayings. We have to take action, but where you take action from is really important. That's where the intentions come into play. Are the actions being taken from a place of need and push and pressure, or is the actions being taken from a place of like pleasure and fun and love? And that makes a big difference. But the actions come from the thoughts and feelings that we have about whatever it is that we're trying to do or take action on. And sometimes our thoughts and feelings create no action, right? Our thoughts and feelings freeze us. Sometimes our thoughts and feelings create, inconsistent action. And so the thoughts and the feelings are a huge part on what kind of thoughts are we having? How do we change those thoughts? And I'm actually doing like a workshop this Friday and Saturday about how to do thought change and how to step into that and create the change. And it starts with awareness. It then becomes honesty of where you're really at, and then deciding you want to make the change. And that's where the vision comes into play, because you need the vision to make the decision of what it is that you decide you want to do. And then you make the change, and then you take action on that new thought pattern, the thought pattern that serves your best self moving forward. And it sounds like a lot of steps, but it can happen like rapidly with practice, right? And learning how to just like be aware of the thought. Does that serve me? No, that's not true. Okay, what do I want to think instead? I'm going to think this instead, and boom, how do I take action on that? And we go. And that's how quickly it can happen when you practice. It's just like working out or anything else. You got to build the muscle of like how to be aware and change it and boom and take the action. Because yes, you are right. You got to take action or nothing's going to happen.
Being in an RV like you are and having been around the country as much as you have makes me think about, you can dream about, going to the Northeast or going and seeing the fall colors or, going to Washington State and being around Puget Sound or whatever. And you can have like this really rich imagination around it, see the sights, smell the smells, feel the feels, all that stuff. But unless you actually get in the RV and put some miles behind you, you're not going to experience that, realize that in life,
Yes.
And it's one of the things that I've been really grappling with this month is that, there is the awesome feeling of imagining and creating this really rich inner universe. But if we don't take the steps to get to creating the reality of what we want to be creating, then we can stay forever in that fantasy world rather than ever actually really getting to where it is we want to go.
Oh my gosh, I love the analogy. I don't even think I've ever even put that together, that I'm taking the action with my RV to step into the areas that are possible for me. And then I get to sit in the feeling of like, is this a heck yeah, or is this a no, And I love that example because I wrote down one time that I wanted to live on a ranch with animals and stuff like that. Like I had like so that property that I talked about also had horses on it and also had like chickens and stuff like that. And I don't know if I told you guys last time, but we had to stop in San Antonio, Texas for about 5 months to get our RV fixed because our RV got hit. And guess where I lived? On my friend's ranch, who had horses, who had chickens, who had a pool, who had everything that I wrote down in a vision about a year previous. And I was like standing one day, it hit me. I was like, oh, I wrote about this. I talked about this and I don't have to pay for it. Woo! You know, I get to experience it and not have to pay for it because they let us stay there for free for the 5 months.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a really cool experience, but you're right. You have to stand in the, like, feel the fear and do it anyway. Like you got to go, ooh, it's kind of scary to go explore. And now there's so many cool things like Airbnbs. Like you want to go experience an area, go Airbnb for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have the opportunity to take the time off, and that's another thing I like to help people do is find more time freedom by releasing those kind of things. And so that they can take the time and go work from wherever. But you can just go down, like I want to go check out a beach area and see if I like it, go Airbnb for a couple weeks. There's no commitment beyond that. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But if you do, you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So. You know, that's one of the cool things about things like Airbnb is, you know, you can go and experience it in short term without buying the 44-foot, you know, RV or
yes,
which is a commitment and a lifestyle in and of itself. I have another friend who did the same type of thing, dealt with in similar situations with the RV breaking down, and they, in the time that they've been on the road, which is about maybe 2 years now, going on 2 years, they've gone through 2 RVs because the first one didn't meet their needs, and then the second one has had all kinds of mechanical issues and so forth. And I mean, there is the dream part of it, but there's also the
reality.
Yeah.
yes. There's a combo of that reality with it, and I'm very honest with people about that. Like we've gone through 6 different let's call them interesting situations, with an awning breaking, with a water tank dropping out of it, with someone hitting us, with 2 people hitting us, with my boyfriend T-boning it into the truck. I mean, like there was like 6 things that I've had to put money out and fix and this and that. And here's how I know I'm still in the place that I'm meant to be right now in my life, is because it was okay. Like I didn't freak out. I didn't have a worry zone. I didn't like start to regret. And I was like, okay, let's just take care of it. Now, when I lived in a house and an air conditioning unit went on it and the roof or this and that, I'd always be like, oh, like so frustrated with it, right? I'm not frustrated with any of it. I'm like, let's just fix it and get back on the road because I love what I'm doing. So that's how you know, even when you have the duality of the negative things and the positive things, that's how you know you're meant to be doing what you're doing, whether it's in your business, whether it's your relationship, whether it's what I'm doing in traveling, because it doesn't like take you down. It doesn't bother you as much. Like there's that moment of like, and then you're like, okay, cool. Like this is my mission and this is what I'm doing. So let's just get it fixed and move on.
That's such a great point, that, you know, you don't really know until you do. You don't, you can dream about it all day long, but until you're actually out there on the road. And I imagine, you know, you could have imagined, you know, how wonderful it's going to be on the road, going to all these incredible places. And then you could have gotten in the RV and realized, you know what, 10 miles down the road, I'm not actually real thrilled about what we're doing. I don't like being stuck inside of an RV or whatever, you know, but you don't really know that until you try it. And
yeah. And I those thoughts definitely went through our head. Like we were excited, but we're like, you know, what if, because we sold everything and we don't have like a home base. You know, South Dakota is our home base, actually, because they let you live here for 24 hours and get a license and register your vehicles.
There's so many RVers that are home base is South Dakota. So
they make it really easy.
I'm curious too, Coach Jackie, if like in those moments you ask yourself, what would love do?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I've had it multiple times. I've had to look at my wrist and go, I heard this saying, what would love do? And I've got the infinity of love, you know, on the back here. I've never had a tattoo in my life. And for decades, I'm like, maybe, nothing really hit home. And then someone said those words to me it was in a coaching session. It was in like a coaching group of some sort. And it's like, what would love do? And I was like, oh, like it hit me like a ton of bricks, because when you are in any kind of mode, I'll give you an example. I have a brother I haven't talked to since 2009, and him and his wife just kind of moved away from the family, and just didn't stay in touch with us for whatever reason. His wife just recently passed, and I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I know his heart is broken. So I messaged him, and I've messaged him multiple times throughout the years, and I didn't hear any response, which is totally fine. And my wrist was like, what would love do? What would love do? Like you reach out no matter what. Like, or you do the thing, and you go for the thing, because that's what love would do. And love would wrap itself around the human no matter what. And he's been utilizing my messenger as like a chat chain to help him go through some stuff. And I'm blessed in that he feels like he can do that now. And so what would love do is really important, because it's a decision making for your business, for your relationship, all sorts of stuff.
Absolutely. And a while ago, I came across the point that, we can either operate out of fear or we can operate out of love.
Mm-hmm.
And fear can get us to do or not do so many things, but love feels so much better. Going back to that, to the idea of fun and just both the length and the shortness of life. I want to create as much fun as I can. I have as much happiness and joy and experience so much.
And collecting those moments, collecting those experiences, collecting those memories.
Yes. And you were spot on, Steph, when you said it's so much more fun. Like it's so much more fun to come from a place of love and joy and pleasure. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of they've labeled it now toxic positivity. I'm not a fan of like rainbows and unicorns all the time, because I'm extremely real. Hang out with me on my Facebook personal page. You'll get everything from me, like the highs, the lows, sharing stories like I just shared. I will tell it all because I believe that I could heal somebody through that, including myself, right? It's a two-way street. But when we want to live in the past that we can't change, or the future worries we can't control, it's like this, it's a definition of insanity. But we get to live in that third place, like you described, of like love and joy and what we desire and what we want. And we get to bring that to the present. And I'm like, that's way more fun to live in. Right? I mean, come on now.
Yeah. Fun to be around.
Right. Oh gosh, it's just life's too short. Life's too short to not really enjoy. And like you said too, it's too long to not live it to the fullest, and really enjoy it. And that's why I tell people, stop waiting to experience what you want to experience. Like, we all have a freedom vision, and we hold it back, and it's time to no longer hold it back. I was 47 when I finally was able to step into like more and more of my freedom. I definitely lived a freedom life compared to a lot of people, where I like left my state, traveled the country. I was in the restaurant business, who sent me all over the country, all sorts of stuff. But now the freedom, here's where the true freedom comes, is now I really love myself. Like, it was cool doing all the things, but now I love myself. And that's where what would love do really hits home for me. It's like, what would love do right now, and how you're talking to yourself, Jackie, or how you're thinking about yourself, or how you're treating yourself, or how you're not treating yourself. How can you love yourself more? And that's where the true freedom is.
Absolutely. And that can be such a pivotal time and pivotal experience of going from not loving yourself to loving yourself, because you can go anywhere in the world and go to amazing places, whether that's, Machu Picchu, or, the Sydney Opera House, or, Antarctica, or whatever. And those can be all really wonderful, amazing experiences. But if you don't love the person you are, you can go anywhere and you still have that relationship that's kind of dragging you down. Whereas if you love yourself, and you love yourself like fully, then it doesn't really matter where you are, because you're with who you want to be.
Yes.
Yep.
We're both like, yes, preach.
Yes, preach.
That's the magic sauce right there. That's the absolute magic sauce. I don't care what kind of, like you said, what kind of goals, what kind of things, all that stuff. None of it matters if you don't love yourself first.
Absolutely.
And we talked about that just the other day with another presenter, Emmy Rousseau. So Emmy Rousseau is all about, having that intentional morning routine, creating time for yourself, filling your own cup first before serving others. And so it's definitely a big theme for the Sing Your Heart Song Summit.
Yes. How can it not be with the word heart in it? Like with the word heart in a title, like it has to start with that first. I love this. I love the title. I love what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I can speak for myself. I love what we're doing too, largely because of just what it's all about and who is involved in it. We couldn't be doing what we're doing without all the different presenters, without the partnership that Olivia and Irma and I enjoy with, just it all works together because we all work together.
Yeah. Isn't that the beauty of when you step more and more into your own and loving yourself, the people that come into your life are magical.
Yeah, world of difference. Which incidentally, I'm going to the World of Difference Toastmasters Club in a little over.
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, we hope you have enjoyed this. I mean, Jackie said it. I mean, surround yourself, right? Surround yourself with fun, loving people, and you'll find them all there at the Sing Your Heart Song Summit. And we all are very intention-driven, heart-driven, joy-driven. And so what an amazing event that you can be and network with new coaches, new speakers, new colleagues. So please register today. Link is below, singyourheartsongsummit.com. And of course, please get to know Jackie, Coach Jackie, ahead of time. You can visit her website here. This is the link. So JackieCoteCoaching.com, and get to know her. Like she said, if you want the real deal, the highs, the lows, and in-betweens, go to her Facebook.
What you see is what you get. I'm just a little shorter than you think when you meet me in person. Like everyone says that. They're like, meet me, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're exactly who I thought, but you're just a little shorter. I was like, I guess I present tall on screen, but yeah, I'm only 5 foot.
You'll fit right in.
Good company.
I'm also 5 feet, and Steph is also maybe like 5'1". So.
Oh, I love it. Perfect. You're my people.
And Irma's 5'2". So.
Oh, is Irma only 5'2"?
Yeah, she's just a little bit taller than us, and so she really enjoys
powerful little packages.
That's right.
She really enjoys being taller than the three of us because in her whole life and her whole family, she's a shorty. So.
I love it. I love it. I do have one comment on my Facebook because I'm streaming you guys live on my Facebook. Our thing right
nice.
Now.
Yeah.
And one of the guys says he loves singing and has way too many songs that feed his soul. So it's another way he feeds his heart souls through singing.
Yes.
Joseph.
That's
Joseph,
awesome.
I'm not going to try to say your name. Mohazel. Did I say that right? I always mess up his name. He knows that.
Joseph, thank you so much for joining the conversation. That is delightful. And I'd love for you to comment back with your favorite summer song because we're putting together a soundtrack for the summit. And so we've been asking all the presenters for their favorite songs. So, Joseph, you've got a recommendation. We'd love to hear it.
Oh, yeah. He goes by Mr. Always Good. I forgot that. He goes by Mr. Always Good. And so if you can't say his name, it's Mr. Always Good.
Joseph, Mr. Always Good.
That's awesome. Always good.
That is excellent. Yeah. And you can also find Jackie on LinkedIn. So please head over to LinkedIn and connect with her now. Let her know that you saw her on the live stream and connect away. So don't wait until July. Get to know the awesome Coach Jackie and hear more from her. So with that being said, thank you so much, Jackie, for being on this morning. We really, really do appreciate your time and showing us your beautiful RV.
I got to tell you, this is the best way to start a day because you're my first for the day. I'm like, I got to do this every day with you guys. This was fun. The rest of my day is going to be magical. It always is. But, still, it's going to be more magical because I started with you.
Awesome.
Well, we're so glad that you're able to start off on a great day, start off on a good foot. Okay, excellent. So we're going to play the outro clip, and we will see you all real soon. Bye, Jackie.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, and you're rushing off to the Make the World Difference.
World of difference. World of difference.
Okay. All right, awesome. And yeah, our collaborations are coming together. I mean, we started off as strangers, right?
Yeah.
So many of our presenters are newer this time around. And so we may have been just like a little bit just the courtship, the dancing, getting to know one another. And now I feel like it's truly coming together, Steph. So
You know what? I was just thinking while you were sharing that the first summit that we did almost a year and a half ago now, the Courage to Shine, you did all the back end stuff, and I don't know that I even saw you during the event. You were not the Olivia that you are now.
I know, busted out of that shell. Well,
So
honestly, at the time, I was still working. Yeah, so I was still working. I was still working my job, and so I was juggling both. The side hustle and then the corporate work and staffing. And then I also didn't want to be like caught. So I was trying to be like incognito and go undercover, right? Even so, I was glad that we did that. I think we did that like evenings and weekends, so which worked out great. So then
right.
I would not have been like, noticeable on LinkedIn.
Got it. Yeah.
But
Well, I'm
know?
glad that you have the freedom to be able to come out and be the radiant Olivia that you are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, awesome. So we will be back again tomorrow with another Sing Your Heart Song Speaker Spotlight. Bye, everyone.